Bring in Anthem Blanchard. He is founder and CEO of Anthem Vault. Anthem Blanchard, good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Always a pleasure.
You say gold and silver will go even higher. Why do you think that? I mean, you hear what's going on with the rest of the commodities space. Is this because of a dollar prediction?
Yeah, it's actually a seesaw trade, Maria, where you see gold reacting positively to increased credit risk. I think we saw that when we saw the July FOMC minutes released back in August when I was on your program. And then you also see then gold react favorably longer term. Sometimes that we see in these I would call bear market rallies, because gold has been in ultimately a bear market for the last 4 years when dollar weakness has been in play. We've seen commodities go up and gold benefit from that phenomena as well.
So we're going to get the FOMC minutes out today. What are you expecting those minutes to show, and how much higher can gold go?
Well, I think we're going to see increased uncertainty. I frankly, Maria, don't think we're going to see enough uncertainty out of the Fed. I think we really do need to see additional quantitative easing. I think there's a lot of credit risk in the markets. I think Deutsche Bank coming out and releasing really negative earnings speaks to that. I think we're not seeing really positive earnings yet. I think we're seeing labor participation rates still really low. Where we should be at the cycle, it should be very, very positive figures all across the board. We're not seeing that.
Wow. I mean, we're having a debate on whether or not the Federal Reserve should have, in fact, raised rates just a couple of weeks ago. You're saying forget about raising rates. They should do another quantitative easing program?
Well, I think that's what the FOMC minutes in July told us, and I think that's why we saw such a negative reaction in August to the markets.
Well, how would that play out for markets, David Joy?
Well, I don't think the Fed's going to raise rates if they do it in sort of the intermediate term until March at least. So that gives them a little bit of time in order to see just how much the global economy is
Even though Janet Yellen has said repeatedly there's probably going to be an increase by year end?
Yes, I think she had no choice. If just a week before, the FOMC voted 13 of the 17 members for a rate increase in 2015, so she had to say that. But as the data comes out, since that meeting, payrolls have been sluggish, manufacturing sluggish, exports way down. We're seeing weakness overseas. It's only been a deteriorating environment since they've been, making those statements. So I really don't see it in December and maybe March.
Would you buy gold like Anthem is recommending?
Well, I think it's important to always have some gold that as part of a diversified portfolio. It gives you a little portfolio insurance. I would put it into a bucket of alternative investments as a broader category, but I would always have some as a standing position.
So, gold, you're not going to necessarily make that much, but maybe you'll hold on to what you have.
Yeah, but
I hedge. I think of gold as a hedge.
Yeah, but I think the point is well taken. If the Fed does stay on the sidelines, it means the dollar's probably going to stay a little bit weak here.
And is that what you're expecting? I mean, you say that the dollar has to come in.
Well, I do. I think it has to get a lot weaker. I think we're ultimately going to see next year in 2016 a ton of quantitative easing from central banks around the world, G20, much more broadly than even the G8 or the main central banks. So I actually have a price target for the next 3+ years over $3,000 an ounce. So I think we're going to see gold trade relatively range bound. I do have a 1-year forecast about $1,300 an ounce, but I think we're going to see the seesaw pressure like we've seen in the last month.
I wonder if you guys are right, if the Federal Reserve holds off until March, and that's a positive for the markets or a negative. Because, that basically tells everybody, look, if they can't raise rates until March, this economy must be a lot weaker than we thought.
Yeah, I think it is a negative. I think they're on the sidelines because things are just not gaining any traction, or at least not enough.
Yes, sorry. And it's going to translate more into an issue during the election, I think. We haven't talked a lot about the economy yet. We've talked about taxes.
You're right.
We have not talked about the average person in the economy. And I think as we see weakening emerging markets, a soft China, slow growth Europe, we're the best of the best, but is that enough? And I think for the average person, they're going to want to hear a lot more about that.
Which, by the way, boggles the mind. I mean, the fact that we haven't gotten into growth and jobs.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
With the candidates.
It's coming.
Thanks for having me on the show.
Thank you, Maria.
Thank you so much. Anthem Blanchard there joining us, talking about gold and markets here.